quiet here in the Football Playbook. Ric Serritella. Sounding like it is. Buckle up, baby. It's a double chin strap affair. We got an hour power down, an hour power to go. And the Eagles are revved up, rocking and rolling 10-1, hosting your Tennessee Titans. We just had Glenn Irby from the Eagles Newswire, USA Today. And our next guest joins us here from Delmarva Sports, Kayla Santiago. We missed her last week. We're so happy to have her back here in the saddle. Kayla, good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. Another Eagles win, a big win at that. So feeling good, excited for what this week has to come for them.
Yeah, and I think I saw you on the social media universe. I think you got back home. Did I see you had a Sixers game over the holiday break? Or
Yes, I got lucky. Tuesday, I was at the game, money to see Nets Sixers, and none of the Sixers stars played, but basically the G League Sixers beat the fully healthy Brooklyn Nets, so it was a fun time.
Yeah, the NBA, I can't say I'm an expert, but it's a different game than when I used to pay attention and follow to it. But, yeah, a lot of prima donnas out there. They want to sit out. One thing the Eagles are not are prima donnas. We saw them just maul the Packers for 500 yards, one of the most historic performances the NFL has ever seen. The most historic rushing performance the Eagles have seen in 74 years. 500 yards of offense, 300 yards, 363 yards rushing, 300 of it coming from Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. The ground and pound game was back at it again with Dallas Goedert being out. Looked like the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Jason Kelce at the end of the game said it perfectly. We're either going to ground and pound it or we're going to throw it, just depending on what works during the game. And it was really good to see, once again, the rotation of running backs that we were used to seeing earlier in the year. I think that really helped them because you have these guys. You have Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, and Boston Scott also got in there. And then, of course, Jalen Hurts utilizing his feet as well. I'm not going to lie, every time he did run and, an opposing player would come up, I kind of covered my eyes and was just grimacing, hoping that nothing would happen. But I really like how they utilized the run game this week, and I hope that they do that going forward, especially against the Titans.
Yeah, some of it was designed. Other was, kind of Jalen just improvising on the fly. And I know Sirianni talked about that, I think, in his Monday press conference, just like, yeah, we had some design calls in there for the game plan, but like what Jalen's able to do on the fly and just improvise and move the chains with his feet, he's like, that's bonus money. You can't teach that. You can't coach that. It's just a natural gift that he has. And, you see it. I talked about it earlier in the show. Like, he's on target now. He could potentially have 4,000 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing, and he's on pace for like 40 touchdowns combined, passing and rushing. He's only got 3 interceptions. Like, how is he not the MVP?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly crazy to think about, especially really only in his second year as a starter. I mean, we're talking about a guy who was drafted essentially to be a backup quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. And now in his second full year as a starter, he's climbing up that MVP ladder. I think right now, Patrick Mahomes, just the level of teams that they've been playing and his statistics are a little bit higher than Jalen Hurts. I don't know, maybe the NFL wants to see a new MVP. Maybe they're going to go in the way of Jalen Hurts. There's still quite a bit of the season left. But I think if the Eagles win out right now and Jalen Hurts keeps going, I don't know how you don't look at him for at least to be top 1 or top 2 in the MVP race. I get Pat Mahomes has these fantastic stats. And yes, the AFC is a little bit more competitive this year. How can you turn away from Jalen Hurts? Look at what he's doing. Look at the history that he created last week with the rushing yards and that he keeps doing every single week. I mean, this guy is the real deal, and he's showing that with Philadelphia, and he's starting to show the whole NFL, and I think the league is starting to believe it.
Yeah, and I think Mahomes is a legitimate contender for the MVP. I think he is. I mean, he does so much with, the supporting cast in Kansas City is nothing near what Jalen Hurts. So I understand the case for Patrick Mahomes, but like, to me, I hear people talk about Tua. I could argue that Tyreek Hill is just as much of an MVP candidate as Tua. So I think those guys might cancel each other out or, cut into each other's votes. I think it's a 2-man race. Obviously, we've still got some distance to go as we head down the home stretch. Now, a couple people in the chat room talking about, listen, gave up 33 points. Turnovers have kind of crept up and become an issue in recent weeks. And Sirianni always talks about, there's no luck in turnovers. That's something we teach. Well, are you teaching the team to prevent the turnovers? Because they're trying to pop up a little bit more frequently. And like AJ Brown, I get it, man. He's had he's been banged up. He's been sick. But, he's got to stop putting the ball on the carpet. And this upcoming Titans matchup, I think, is a get healthy game for AJ Brown. But what do you make of just the defense, the points allowed, the turnovers, the penalties, the sloppiness? It hasn't looked like the first 8 weeks of the season.
Yeah, the defense worried a little bit. I just think they're so banged up. I think you look at the offense right now, and the offense is just so complete with the run game with Jalen Hurts. The offensive line last week, too, we don't talk about enough because they put on an absolute show. I mean, Lane Johnson not allowing a sack in 2 years and Jason Kelce playing the way that he did. When you look on the defensive side of the ball, it's just not as compact right now. We've talked about the rotations with the injury to Jordan Davis. Right now, I just think they're bagged up, honestly. And I think Darius Slay worries me sometimes. You watch him in the Washington Commanders game. You say, all right, is Darius Slay really 100%? I don't think so. C.J. Gardner-Johnson goes down. Really, really worrisome to me. But honestly, the safety help coming in and the depth right there didn't look too bad against the Packers. So I think the special teams play, too, is also a little bit of a worry. Just being able to get so many yards after a punt deep into the end zone is a little bit worrisome to me, especially against the Green Bay Packers. So I think you look at the defense right now and you kind of just say it's the injury bug. But how do you help out? And I think that's where you have to look at the man at the helm, Jonathan Gannon. I mean, he's got to step up. I get it. He's with the Eagles, and he has a lot of pressure on his back. But you can't be a one-sided team, especially once you get in the nitty-gritty of this schedule and you get into the playoffs. You need to be compact. You can't completely rely on your offense to score 30-plus points every single game. You need the defense to step up. And at this point, I think Jonathan Gannon is the guy you have to look at and say, you need to figure this out, injuries or not.
Well, and to his credit, Jonathan Gannon at least gets it from what he states publicly. He opened up his press conference. That was the first thing he said, Kayla. Hey, too many points. Got to clean it up. Got to get better. Work to be done. So at least he acknowledges it. Now, the kind of work he's going to get done and the kind of scheme he's going to implement, we might not all agree. We all want this aggressive, feisty, nasty, physical type of defense. But hey, he's a bend and don't break kind of guy. Quarters coverage, we all get it. He did say, man, though, that the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a tough loss. He echoed a lot of the sentiments you said. Hey, it was great to see Reed Blankenship and Josiah Scott do what they did, and we got confidence in those guys. But now this is me talking. At some point, you can only play with house money for so long. Like, you don't want to go into the playoffs down Avonte Maddox and down Chauncey Gardner-Johnson with the lacerated kidney. He could be out until the playoffs. And I agree with you. Like, Darius Slay, to me, with the back, that's something you can't monitor, you can't detect. I heard Mac McCain is on his way back. I talked about it on yesterday's show. Like, maybe bringing in a Malcolm Butler, of Super Bowl caliber, championship contender, veteran, experienced guy might not be the worst idea, because suddenly that back flares up on Slay. It's McPherson, it's Josiah Scott, it's Reed Blankenship. I mean, you're down to your B team.
Yeah, and honestly, that's scary to me, especially since we're getting to the second half of this point. I mean, Darius Slay plays very well, whether injured or not, but you can tell when he's not 100% because he's not as quick to the ball. He doesn't make the same plays. He doesn't make the same great coverage that he's used to making. You have a guy that has veteran leadership in there, because if those two are down the playoffs, you still have to win games, because there's a good chance if you don't win games that the Giants and the Cowboys are right there. And the defense is really going to be the kryptonite if they're not able to have that and to be there. And if injuries are going to happen, that front line can only do so much on the defense. I think Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox really stepped up last week, which was really good to see. They're not going to have that game every single game, though. It's just not. And we know that the rotation isn't as sharp as it was in the beginning of the season. So with that being said, I mean, I think you have to look for guys at this point because, yes, it's good to have those guys healthy for the playoffs, but right now this division is so tight that 2 losses and 2 wins for the Giants or the Cowboys could put you in 3rd place.
Yeah, the Vikings are breathing down the neck as well. I'm talking to Kayla Santiago, director for Delmarva Sports here on the Football Playbook with Ric Serritella. Buckle up. It's a double chin strap affair here. You out there, all my chat room people from the front to the back, where you at? All right, so, this Tennessee Titans team is really, to me, I think, a contender. They're going to look to run the ball. They're going to look to stop the run. Ryan Tannehill, we know, is not a world beater, but he has games like last week. I think he had over 300 yards passing. He brings competent play to the arena or to the stadium, and he's capable of making the occasional big play. The Titans don't really have a lot of big play weapons in the passing game. Obviously, Treylon Burks has been that AJ Brown, quote unquote, replacement, and we'll get to the AJ Brown revenge game. But what do you make of this Titans offense? Is it just, hey, stack the box, try to stuff King Henry, and let Ryan Tannehill beat you with his arm if you have to?
I think you have to at this point, because if you try to do a little bit of both and give Derrick Henry any leeway, you're going to fall into a trap really, really easily. I mean, Derrick Henry is an exciting running back to watch. He's so tough. You think you bring him down after 5 yards, he runs and somehow gets 15 more yards. That's the guy you need to be focused on. I'm not really worried about the game with the Tennessee Titans. I know that Ryan Tannehill can get up there and flare some throws and really get his momentum going a little bit. But I really think on the counterattack that the Eagles offense can keep up with that. I don't think the Eagles offense can keep up with a free-going Derrick Henry, in my opinion. I just don't think that they can match that up. So, in my opinion, the defense has to be focused on the running back at hand. If that doesn't work throughout the game, okay, then maybe you adjust a little bit. But if I'm Jonathan Gannon right now, Derrick Henry is the guy I'm keeping my eye on all game long, because if you let it, it's going to be a really tough game to come back from.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a battle of time possession, field position. Eagles won the time of possession battle this past week, like 35 minutes to 25 minutes of the Packers. Now, with the loss of Goddard, though, they have injected more Quez Watkins, more even Zach Pascal into the passing attack. We even saw packages where there was 0 tight ends in the game. I don't recall seeing that at any point of the season. What do you make of the semi-new look offense that we saw trotted out onto the field against Green Bay?
Well, I love seeing Quez Watkins get involved. I know fans are probably angry at him after that fumble before on that long ball by Jalen Hurts, but I think Quez Watkins just needs to get more in the game plan, and that's something we've been talking about all year long. Devontae Smith and AJ Brown are going to get their touches, but Quez Watkins is really a guy, especially with his speed, that can really make a difference on this team, and it's going to be hard to cover. And if you have, kind of that 3-wedge sword in AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Quez Watkins, and you're able to utilize them almost every single drive and every single play if you're going through the air, that's going to be really tough for opposing defenses to kind of control, and that's not going to be easy for them to cover. So the wide receivers being in a little bit more than tight end heavy, just because those are the guys that have the experience. Those are the guys that have been here, and those are the guys, at least right now, that connect the best with Jalen Hurts.
And Jack Stoll, I think, is playing better than what someone would anticipate. I believe he was an undrafted free agent. We had him out at the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. And, for a guy to be a rookie free agent and step in and play as well as he has, I mean, let's be honest, he's not going to kill you in the pass game, but he's not going to hurt you either. And what he's brought to the blocking game, he's almost like a 6th offensive lineman out there. He's that good of a blocker, and he's been adequate, I think, as a pass catcher. I mean, what a find by Howie Roseman. He gets all this credit about the free agency, but what about the rookie free agents he's brought in? This Jack Stoll's a good one.
Listen, in 2017, Corey Clement went undrafted, and look what he did on that Super Bowl team. Is
Good
Jack
one, yeah.
Stoll that same type of guy for the Philadelphia Eagles this
Yeah.
season? These are itching to get their chance to play, that no matter what, they might only play a year in the NFL and they might get passed around by a few teams, but they're going to give it everything that they have. And Stoll, the thing I like about this guy is that he's not worried about flaring out and making every single catch. He's doing what he's told to do and needed to do, even if it's a blocker, as you mentioned, as basically an extra offensive. If that's what he needs to do to step in and make a difference, he puts his ego aside and he says, this is what I'm going to do because this is opportunity to play in the NFL. And not only do teams like guys like that, but the city of Philadelphia loves guys like that. They're going to chip in and give it their all. So I think he fits in really well. I think he's going to be in the passing game as much. He's more as a blocker. He's not going to be that number one target, but don't be surprised if he can go off here and there and give you that extra 5 yards if Jalen Hurts needs it, if he's not going to use his feet.
No, I'll tell you what, this is a good-looking player. I think the Eagles found themselves a solid backup for the future, and I think Jack Stoll is going to carve out a nice little niche for himself here in Philadelphia. He fits the city's DNA, like you said, and he's very capable. Again, not a guy you want to trot out there and start 17 games, but he can hold the fort, as you can see. A couple more games to go. I feel good about Jack Stoll. I don't feel like, even though he's a rookie free agent, I don't feel like he's a liability out there, and you got to feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good every time we have Kayla Santiago on the Football Playbook each and every Wednesday here. Buckle up, our 60-second episode. Hit the like button while you're here. Stay for a while. Kick off your shoes, relax your feet. And Kayla, I got to ask you, the Eagles again, I can't remember a game where they weren't favored this season. I don't think there will be one. But again, they're favored, not double digits this week, but I think 6.5 or so points. I do believe it's going to be a close game. I'm going to save my prediction for the Football Friday episode with Coach John DeFilippo, and we'll have Mike Gill on Football Friday, Dane Vandernat checking in tomorrow on Thursday's show. But for Wednesday, we got the Glenn Irby prediction. It's time for the Kayla Santiago prediction.
I think this is going to be the toughest game of the year, and the Eagles have a tough schedule with the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, the Titans, and then you face the Giants a week from now as well. I do think that the Eagles win this game. I think that it's going to put them to the test. I think that it's going to be a game where they have to come back actually in the second half. And we've only seen 1 or 2 games this year that they've had to been able to do that, and they have. And I think this is a game that Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy once again, all the pressure shoulders, but he's going to come through, whether it's him rushing for a touchdown or he gets a good pass in there to A.J. Brown, whatever it might be. But I have 27-24 Philadelphia. I think it's going to be a phenomenal Sunday afternoon football game to watch, though. I really do.
Yeah, a lot of people in the chat room thinking it's going to be close. Drew Nichols saying it went down to -5 already. So from 6.5 to start the week down to 5. Maybe Vegas knows something that we don't. I agree. I think it's going to be close, and I think you're right. Jalen Hurts is going to be the ultimate X factor in determining decisive advantage that puts the Eagles over the top. And he outdueled Aaron Rodgers. I get it. This guy has got every excuse in the world. Oh, my thumb hurts. Oh, my leg hurts. Oh, I don't have the wide receivers. Whatever the excuse is this week, I don't care. Jalen Hurts was the better quarterback on Sunday, and he is a franchise signal caller. I think he gets the job done. I'll save my score prediction for Friday. Buckle up. Before we let you go, Kayla, I do got to get your finger on the pulse. Hearts on Fire got the Eagles winning 51-10. Hey, Hearts on Fire. If the Eagles win 51-10, hey, meal on me down at the Dolce over at Ocean Casino Resorts, okay? I do have to ask you, though, about your power rankings, and we'll start off with the NFC. You know, to me, it seems like Dallas and San Francisco are the reoccurring teams on most people's power rankings. They've got the good defense. However, the Vikings are still hanging around. The Commanders are arguably the hottest team in football, quite frankly. Tom Brady and the Bucs, you can never count them out. Geno Smith also playing an MVP caliber type of level there. How do you see the NFC power rankings, Kayla?
I think the NFC, as much as people say it might not be as talented as the AFC this year, is starting to get a little bit more competitive. Obviously, I have the Eagles at 1. They have the better record. They've been the team that shows that they can beat other teams in the NFC. Then I have it followed by the Vikings. Then you go the 49ers. And I actually have the Cowboys above the Giants, at least right now. Now, if the Giants end up beating the Eagles next week, which of course I hope does not happen, the Giants are really going to move up in the power rankings right there if you're just talking about the NFC. But right now, I think it's super close. The Eagles and Vikings, we might see the same game as Super Bowl 2017 year, honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you. We might see them in the NFC Championship with just how good these two teams are. But I think the 49ers are right there, the Cowboys and the Giants. It's crazy to say that 2 or 3 NFC East teams could be in a top 5 power rankings in the NFC. We've probably never said that for the past few years, but you can't count out the Bucs right now. But these two teams, in my opinion, are just a little bit better than the Buccaneers at the moment.
Yeah, obviously a lot of football left to be played. The Vikings and Eagles, of course, would be a rematch of that week 2 matchup. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's pretty wide open. Despite the Eagles' dominant record, I do think that there are teams like the 49ers, like the Cowboys, even the Giants could compete on any given Sunday. And before we get to the AFC, let me ask you, hopefully you weren't stuck on any flights with OBJ this past holiday weekend, but they say he still might sign with the Cowboys or Giants. Is it even a factor at this point, or it's like, who cares? What's your take on Odell Beckham?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to sign with the Giants, in my opinion, just kind of have that homecoming. But in my opinion, I don't really think that he's going to be as much of a factor as everybody thinks that he's going to be. I think for Giants fans, it's going to be something like, oh, this is really, really exciting to, have this guy kind of back with them. But in my opinion, I don't think OBJ makes that much of a difference for any team that he goes on.
Okay, fair enough. How about the AFC? Is it the Chiefs and everybody else, or do you give credence to the Miami Dolphins? Are you still putting the Buffalo Bills in the upper echelon of the power rankings, or the Tennessee Titans? Like, to me, I thought the Dolphins and 49ers this week and the Eagles and Titans are 2 potential Super Bowl previews. How do you see the AFC?
The AFC is really interesting, and I think, just like you said, the Chiefs are definitely the top team in the AFC. And at this point, I do think they're untouchable. Now, I think that can change throughout the playoffs, especially in that conference. I do have the Bills at 2 right now, and I know they've fallen a little bit, but Josh Allen has also been banged up a little bit. So I think if he gets a little bit more healthy, then they'll be fine to go. Then I have the Dolphins. I'm going to keep the Ravens up there, and I have the Titans following the Ravens. So now I think the AFC, besides the top spot, can fluctuate a lot throughout the upcoming weeks. I just think every single week you look at these teams, and it's like, all right, they could be 2 or they could be 6 at the end of the week. You know what I'm saying? So I think that besides the Chiefs, it can kind of fluctuate a little bit. But at the same time, that's my power rankings right now for the AFC.
No, I think that's solid. I the only thing I disagree is I'm off the Bills bandwagon. It feels like each and every year we're just picking this team to be the team. But I figured out why they don't get over the hump. It's Josh Allen. This guy is just not smart. I mean, I watch him play, and he doesn't know how to slide. He lowers the shoulder. He lowers his head. This guy's an idiot. And no wonder why he has I mean, I really, like, I haven't seen a quarterback this dumb since J.P. Losman. I'm just being honest. This guy has got a $1 million arm with a 2-cent head. And he's going to be the reason why the Bills do well. He's also going to be the reason why the Bills don't get to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. So that's just me. That's my hot take for today. Kayla, tell the good listening audience at home, I see you out there covering the high school football. What do you got going on at Delmarva Sports? Give them the Twitter handle, all the great stuff that you got going on.
Yes, my Twitter is Kayla_Santiago1. We are in the thick of football state championships. So we have the football state championship on Friday. I've also been doing a lot with the Delaware Bluecoats, which is the Sixers G League team. So hopped on the broadcast earlier this week for them. And then on Thursday, I'll be pre and post sideline reporter for them. That game will be on ESPN Plus. So if anybody loves G League basketball or wants to see, some of the future Sixers, maybe that's where you can catch that action. So yeah, that's been a lot of part of as well. Love basketball. I love football too, but in terms of broadcast, basketball is one of my favorite sports. So it's exciting that we're kind of in the thick of that season, especially turning in to high school as well, but also with the G League and NBA.
No, I know you're on it when it comes to the Sixers for sure. And when it comes to broadcast boot camp, Rowan has a great program. I saw you kind of giving back and hanging out and doing some stuff with the Rowan folks. Give a shout out to that Rowan broadcast community over there. They're doing big things.
Yeah, they're doing huge things. I mean, they have a partnership with the Blue Coats and the Blue Rocks. So you can literally work with professional teams when you're in college, which is really crazy to think. And the connections that gives you outside of college and when you graduate is just fantastic. And Neil Hartman, who worked on Comcast Sportsnet for a ton amount of years, does a phenomenal job with that program. It's crazy to think it just started when I was a freshman, which was 2018, and how much it has grown and, how people kind of know about Rowan now. So if anybody's interested in sports communication and they're not in college yet, Rowan has a fantastic program for it. And I'm really blessed to be able to be a part of it and to give back and just all the connections to make from the program while I was there.
Yeah, I know the NFL Draft Bible has a great relationship with Rowan. I didn't realize how new the program was. So, yeah, they've done
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of big things in a short period of time. And, hey, you're a big reason for it. So thank you for your time, Kayla. Keep up all the great work, and hopefully we see you next Wednesday.
Yeah, thank you guys. Go Birds.
All right, go Birds. There she is. There she goes. Kayla Santiago here on the Football Playbook. Hey, guys, buckle up. We got another half hour to go. You guys trying to tell me John Elway quarterback was a bad game? Bro, did you ever play the arcade version? Are you kidding me? It was outstanding. Stop it. Okay, I give you this. Tecmo Bowl, Super Tecmo Bowl, doesn't get much better than that. But John Elway quarterback was not a bad game. Stop that nonsense. I won't have it here on the Football Playbook with your boy, Ric Serritella. Tell it like it is when it comes to your Philadelphia Eagles, NFL, college football, NFL draft, 148 days away. Did you go and check out NFLDraftBible.com? We got over 600 scouting reports for 2023 and beyond. We had Glenn Irby there earlier in the show. Kayla Santiago, great job out of her. Tomorrow, Dane Vandernat checks in fresh off of our NFLPA Collegiate Bowl scouting calls today. Football Friday, we got Mike Gill and Coach John D. Filippo lined up. So, hey, we're halfway home for your Tennessee Titans week. Shout out to all the chat room people. Hey, Nick Walker, buckle up. Good morning. Yeah, I'm on iced latte number 6. we got started early today on the iced latte, my friends. Hey, I love talking football, man. I love getting interactive with all you guys in the chat room. We still have another half hour left in the show, believe it or not, counting you up to the sports take at noon Eastern time. This is the 62nd episode here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Click subscribe, smash the like button. When we come back, I have news and notes from Jonathan Gannon's press conference, from Shane Steichen's press conference, and I have some facts about the Tennessee Titans that you might not know that could pique your interest for this upcoming game on Sunday. Of course, Tone DeShields II holding it down behind the scenes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.